Good evening. Welcome to the March 12th edition of Sports on Sunset. I'm Rihanna. Welcome back, Moops McGee. We're here in the Marty's Dungeon again. While we're here at this moment, the World Baseball Classic, one of the games is being played out in Miami. The Americans are taking on Puerto Rico.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm a huge fan of the World Baseball Classic. I think a lot of people actually are. It's I'm not going to sit there and lie to you and say it's World Cup big, obviously. But it's a wonderful diversion compared with regular spring training baseball.
It's an actual World Series.
Yeah, yeah. So with that said, one of the things that occurred to me was on Sunday, the Americans, they did win, but they came close to losing to the Canadians. Had they lost to the Canadians, they would have had to qualify to get into the World Baseball Classic the next time around, which struck me. American sports, American team sports on the world stage. And it seems to be significantly more important to some of these countries to catch up to the Americans. Maybe more so than others. So the first thing that caught me is just in a general sense, and by the way, I know you're not a big baseball fan, but I also know that at your job they throw all sorts of sports up on giant screen TVs. Have you seen some World Baseball Classic?
Yeah, I actually have. I saw a bit of, funny enough, the Mexico game.
Okay.
Not the one that they got into a fight with Canada over.
Yeah.
The priority.
I know you don't consider yourself to be much of a baseball fan at all. With that said, have you got a sense of this being a compelling watch, first of all?
Well, it's not really compelling because there's not that many names that are
maybe not on some of the other squads,
yeah.
But right now, I mean, Puerto Rico and the Americans, star-studded. Canada, actually, you'd be surprised. Canada has some really damn good ball players from the major leagues.
But not so much for the Asian teams, so to speak.
And yet we'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah.
With that said, from a generic standpoint, why do you believe, because it's abundantly clear, it's happened in team sports such as basketball. We are not nearly as competitive in soccer, but I do believe that in women's soccer, I think the rest of the world is catching up to the Americans. I think that, and certainly even though it's a World Baseball Classic, the Americans have never won. So, why is it such a priority for the rest of the world to catch up to the Americans in sports, team sports that we invent?
Because, and this is going to sound like propaganda, but they're trying to catch up to us so they can say, hey, we beat the most powerful nation on the planet. That's basically all it is. Why have a competition where everyone's playing the sport that it's not? Here's the thing: you're saying that we invented baseball. Baseball is an offshoot of cricket.
I understand.
So it's not the sport that's our national pastime. Historically, it's baseball. It's the one that we fawn over as a nation. Historically. Never mind that football has overtaken it as the biggest sport in the world, well, in the country. But the reason everybody's trying to beat us is because in the long run, they're trying to get to this country to play this sport.
Do you believe, I'm the son of an immigrant, you live with a couple of immigrants? Not necessarily baseball fans. My dad doesn't care if the Irish have put together a baseball team.
the Irish McGillicuddies?
Yeah. The reason I bring this up is it more a governmental badge of pride for these countries as opposed to the individual citizens? Because I'm wondering, I know Portugal, one of your roommates is Portuguese. I know that Portugal probably doesn't have a baseball team.
No.
But if they did, I can't imagine.
It would suck.
Yeah, but I can't imagine if they got competitive and they beat the Americans, that this would be something that your roommates would run up and down the hall screaming, "Hooray, we beat the Americans"?
Yes,
I don't know.
yes, they would.
Really?
Yeah, like anytime an American team is beat by a foreign country, that country, foreign country, by another country in the world, on the world stage, that country rejoices in it because it's not like they beat us in anything else.
Here's my counterpoint to it. Take a look at a sport that, in theory, is more popular worldwide than in the United States. Track. We are fantastic at track. We don't care about track until the Olympics. I mean, there's a couple of events here and there, but that's a niche sport. It's not a horrible thing, but it is a niche sport. When the Olympics come around, everybody cares. We destroy. When the Olympics are done, everybody goes back to the other sports that we'd rather watch. And yet the world has spent all this energy to be good in baseball, all this energy to be good in basketball. Why aren't they spending all this energy to kick our ass in track?
Because they can't. They don't have the training facilities that we have.
But you could, in theory, probably cheaper than it would be, to scour the country and teach kids how to throw a breaking pitch.
Well, look at it this way. In track, China has more than enough people that they scour the entire country looking for the top athletes in their respective sports, right?
Okay.
They go for ping pong, they go swimmers, divers, gymnastics.
Blah. Yeah.
When it gets to track and field, they can't do it. And I hate to go to the point where it's gonna go anyway, but the best track athletes are bred to be the best track athletes. This is, unfortunately, like Michael Johnson insinuated.
Well, let me interrupt.
Yeah.
To play it out though. I'm saying that countries might be investing way too much to try and figure out how to play baseball, right?
Yeah.
If we assume that, why not simply, if I were in a country in Africa, why would I put so much money to put a baseball diamond on there when I could put the best damn 440 track down there and just have them run like hell and see who can compete?
Well,
that seems to be because it's a world, that track is more of a world sport.
Yeah, but you're talking about Africa, and you have to know which countries you're talking about. Like if you're talking about
but it doesn't necessarily even have to be Africa.
Yeah, but if most of the countries that send people to the Olympics are war-torn countries, they're in turmoil internally. They have bigger things to worry about than building track facilities for their citizens.
Yet some of these countries, you take a look at Venezuela. Venezuela has always been kind of a banana republic, and yet they're great in baseball.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
it's just like what was Pablo Escobar?
Yeah.
Basically funded the soccer team for wow, why am I blanking? The Colombian team.
If the government didn't invest, let's say, I think one of your other roommates is Brazilian.
Yes.
If the other countries say if the government didn't invest in these sports and they sent a baseball team that got shellacked, you see what I mean? Would it be that big a deal?
If they didn't invest in the team?
Yeah, because I'm sitting there thinking, why are some of these countries, which aren't necessarily baseball powers, trying so hard to compete?
Because
when they should be competing in sports, that they can beat us with relative ease.
Because those athletes that play baseball in other countries are hoping to make it to the major leagues to feed their families with the millions that they can get from a major league contract.
How much are we holding back? We did that for decades in basketball.
What do you mean?
Well, college players versus foreign professionals. It took us a while before we sat there and said, okay, dream teaming.
Well,
and the same thing, in theory, could be applied to the World Baseball Classic. These are major leaguers, but this is still their spring training. Yeah. So I can easily see them saying, look, those pitchers, 2 innings, tops.
Well, it's going to take something like what happened to, what was it, David Robinson's team? It's going to take something like that to happen before the pros say, you know what, this is our game.
That's not the question, though. How much are we actually holding back? Because I don't necessarily think the World Baseball Classic needs the Americans to win for it to be a success.
Well, no, it will be a bigger success if more teams were competitive, outside of just the Mexican team and the Puerto Rican team and the Japanese team.
I had mentioned earlier about how my dad wouldn't give a damn if the Irish put together a baseball team.
Yeah.
Does Christiana, I shouldn't have mentioned her name, I apologize, do your roommates give a damn?
Well, she's been on the show before, so.
Yeah, I know. Well, would they actually care at all? Not necessarily if they beat the Americans, but I remember as a kid watching the Team USA in the 1980 Olympics at Lake Placid. I watched the team go through the whole damn thing. It was thrilling, loved it, and everybody talks about the Miracle on Ice, but they tuned in for the Miracle on Ice. That's what helped set hockey go to a new level in the United States. But I can't see average people from other countries that are not baseball countries giving a damn unless they actually play the American form.
Well, that's correct. Well, actually, you won't see many countries giving a damn if their country isn't in it. Like, there's a lot of countries that aren't fielding baseball teams that don't care.
What is the plus and or minus over the World Baseball Classic from a non-baseball fan's perspective? Because I think it's great. I love it.
What's the plus?
Yeah. Why? I mean, do you find it? You said you find it somewhat compelling. Somewhat.
Yeah. Like, as with every baseball game I've ever watched, I like watching the last inning. People complain about like other sports.
The last 2 minutes of basketball.
That's the only thing that counts in basketball. The last 2 minutes. Well, it's baseball for me.
Talk to me then. Let's tell you what. Let's switch gears entirely. Why don't you tell them what's on your mind, brother?
Okay. What's on my mind is something that was, well, I guess I abandoned ship on that thought, didn't I? But what's on my mind is something that was in the news a couple of weeks ago. And it's been in the news steadily, and things have escalated since then. Dennis Rodman went to North Korea as a guest of Kim Jong-un, and they talked, and he came back to the United States and he sounded like a goddamn moron on somebody's talk show, and people lambasted Dennis Rodman for going to North Korea. People ignored the fact that he was there with the Harlem Globetrotters, who go everywhere trying to promote basketball and world peace. He was there with the Globetrotters. It's not like he went on his own as a guest of the North Korean president. Now, you can make fun of the man all you want. He sat with a guy who's starving his people, makes them cut their own grass to eat as salad, makes them sleep in the darkness because there's no electricity at night. You can lambaste him for that, but you'd be stupid. He spoke on something he knows nothing about. That makes him stupid. But you're just as dumb for making fun of a man for being ill-informed. Because you know he's ill-informed. You know he doesn't know what he's talking about, yet you're asking him questions about things he knows nothing about. People gave him, the guy, I don't even know what the guy's name was. Stephanopoulos? Was that one?
May have been. I actually did go out of my way to ignore it.
Yeah, the guy gave him a sheet of paper like, maybe you should read this. This is about the atrocities that he's committing. Like, do you think Dennis Rodman cares enough to read the goddamn paper? No, he doesn't. Why? Because he's probably having sex with your sister. Dennis Rodman has better things to do with his time than to worry about some North Korean president who's going to be dead within the next 5 years if he dares try to bomb the United States.
Like, go to Claire's and pick out new accessories.
Yeah. He doesn't, look, the reason he went there was as a part of an HBO documentary following the Harlem Globetrotters as they go around the world. It's an HBO documentary that's going to be watched. Why? Because they have the episode of Dennis Rodman meeting the North Korean president. So, congratulations, America. You made fun of a guy for being ill-informed who once wore a dress to sell a book. And I love Dennis Rodman. I'm a huge Pistons fan. But you all suck. And I hope you all learned your lesson not to listen to anything that Dennis Rodman says. If you didn't learn from the Larry Bird comment, you're not going to learn now.
I remember during last summer when all the turmoil was going on in the NBA with players going here and there. And I remember sending texts to two people whom I'd like to apologize to now. Sean Green and Johnny Lupasto. Because I told them that they, as Philadelphia fans, would be happy with Andrew Bynum. I'm being sincere.
Oh, I know.
Because the fact of the matter is that I did not realize just how much of a man, how much from manhood this guy has regressed over the last couple of years. I knew that, you know, when you're getting tutored by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you're going to get the good with the bad. You'll learn a post game, but you'll also learn how to be an unrepentant punk. I didn't realize just how deeply those lessons were learned by Andrew Bynum, because we are now 2/3 of the way through the basketball season, and the guy who could not wait to be the face of the franchise for the Philadelphia 76ers has he even put on sneakers or sweats?
Yeah.
All we know about him so far is that he's grown out his hair, added a beard, and has gotten in trouble for playing his music too loud.
And bowling.
And not playing.
And bowling.
And bowling, yeah. See, the funny thing to me is that we in Los Angeles, we've spent so much time barking about Dwight Howard and how he hasn't been producing. The fact of the matter is, the moment that Dwight Howard put in his first bucket, he's already outplayed Andrew Bynum. I don't like the idea that this trade is now a ripoff of the Lakers. It just was. You know, we knew Dwight was nursing a bulky lower back, and we knew that Bynum always had bulky knees, so it seemed like a good idea at the time for everybody involved. Now, this is not to be construed as an apology to the city of Philadelphia. Fuck them. But I did specifically say to Lupasto and Green that this was going to be something that they would like.
So what you're saying is that
I was wrong.
You're wrong.
I acknowledge it.
But you intimated that because Bynum hasn't played at all this year, that it's Kareem's fault.
Yes.
It's not his own fault. It's Kareem's.
Yes. Well, I mean, we always have to take responsibility for our own actions. But until Kareem got hold of him, we were looking at a guy who was just happy to be in the NBA. Happy-go-lucky Andrew Bynum.
Going to strip clubs, Andrew Bynum. Making it rain at Silver Rain up in Ventura County somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Derrick Rose hasn't played this year either.
Yeah, I know.
Is that
We saw Derrick. What happened with Derrick Rose? That was almost as gross as what happened to Sean Livingston. So, no.
I'm just saying, you know, he's healthy.
I haven't seen.
He's healthy. He's just not playing. Is that Kareem's fault?
Did he go to UCLA?
Also, it's John Calipari's fault.
No, it's John Wooden's fault.
So it's John Wooden.
Look, I am so glad John Wooden is gone.